Hey there, Cheesemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod After Dark. I was going to Riker my way into this chair, but it's a little bit too tall.
Oh man.
I also was a little bit worried that starting the episode out with what would have to just be a crotch shot would maybe not be the move. So,
I don't know. You get ratings how you get them.
well, that's true. I gotta keep the ladies away. I am Jeff, and I don't know who writes your history books or where you get your information from, but you people have some pretty funny ideas about me. And joining me on the other end of the internet, my co-host and a bear.
I'm Leslie, and I believe I'm feeling anxiety. And this is Jordy Bear.
Is that the most you've ever related to Data? Yeah.
Oh my god. Immediately was just like, oh, I feel you so much, buddy. And also, why don't you turn that off? And immediately Picard's like, Data, you can turn off your emotions.
Switch that shit off.
Nice.
Yeah, I also felt a lot like Data in this episode, or in this movie, when the number of times I've had to explain to women that I am fully functional. I mean, it's...
Oh my god, Jeff. Women everywhere, I'm sorry. I love my cousin. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Again, we just talked about how the ladies want this. This is what we're bringing it to them.
I know. I listen. Gotta keep your ego in check because Laura's not here.
I know. There was somebody else. Oh, somebody on Facebook the other day posted a picture of like me and like another guy and a friend of ours from like 15 years ago. I don't know. It was a while ago. And one of her friends was like, "Who is that? And why aren't you married to him?" And she's like, "Don't encourage either one of them."
Oh my God.
She's like, "They're both married."
Yes.
I was like, you know what? It's a good question. Like,
Yeah.
She's thinking along the right lines. Why isn't everyone married to me? This week, Cheesemeisters, this is why not everyone's married to me, because I just go off on talking about how great I am for 2 minutes before.
Yeah,
the first 2.5 minutes of this have mostly been about my crotch.
Your crotch, your ego, everything around Jeff.
Jeff-centric episode. This week, Cheesemeisters, we are discussing Star Trek First Contact, the 1996 Never Meet Your Heroes, They're Probably Drunk Capitalists masterpiece, directed by Jonathan Frakes, starring Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner, LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, Alfre Woodard, James Cromwell, and Alice Krieg. We are doing this in conjunction with Season 3, Episode 14, Wild Horses.
Thank you for singing it.
No problem. And our spelling connection is Alice Krieg herself, who played Anne, who owns Shadowcaster. And apparently has one move, Seduce. She's our Borg Queen. So that's our spelling connection. It's quite direct this episode.
It is. It's nice when that happens.
Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. Also, it took us in a direction I wasn't necessarily thinking about, which is like Star Trek movie for this week. So that's fun. And you had the wardrobe for it. So
right.
we're ready.
My PR people have told me that I must mention, yes, I'm aware this is not the proper uniform for the Generation crew. This is lower decks attire, so everyone calm down if you know that.
Wait a minute. Why do you think that Star Trek fans would pick that level of knit? I thought because you've met one of them once. That's precisely the type of... Well, okay, I wasn't going to throw Walter directly under the bus there, because it could have literally been any Star Trek fan. Star Trek fans are a particular breed. So you are in a relationship with Star Trek. That's how you came
Yes.
into it. Did you um did you grow up watching any of these things at all?
So what kept me from Star Trek was I associate it with punishment for some reason, and here's why. I would get
Okay.
in the I guess the few times I remember being grounded are on like a Saturday or some day, and you're
Mhm.
go to your room, you're not allowed TV or anything for until I
Mhm.
say. Um but then after that you're still not allowed TV, and so like I don't know, just some like you're not allowed to watch what you would want to watch, but something on
Right.
TV would have been Star Trek. I don't remember which one it was. I just remember thinking, I don't know what this is, but it's the only thing I'm allowed to watch right now. And I wasn't even really paying attention. Like, it's something that was more in the background.
Gotcha. Are we
But
talking
again,
original series or next gen?
no, I think it was next gen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that grabbed you, but now that you're engaged to it, you're engaged with it. And you've seen
I do like it. I've
all of
seen
it?
quite a bit of it. No, not all of it.
Mm-hmm.
We still haven't done a lot of the original series, but like I have seen most of
Okay.
Next Gen. I have seen most of
Okay.
Voyager. I have seen. He's got his earbuds
Deep
in.
Space
I
Nine?
can answer for myself. I have seen. I'm pretty sure all of Deep Space Nine. That one is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen all of Enterprise, and
Okay.
I've been watching a lot of the newer ones, like
Mm-hmm.
Picard, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds. That one
Okay.
actually is my favorite.
I like Strange New Worlds quite a bit. Although I can't say for 100% certainty that I watched the last season. It's kind of a blur. They just kept releasing them. It was like between that one and the other one with uh the woman from Everything Everywhere All at Once, and with the other lady with the long braids. Um
Oh, Discovery. Yeah, that one
Discovery.
is all over the place.
It was all over the place. I
Yeah.
liked it, not as much as Brave New World. Um Not as much as Next Generation. I like Picard. It's always fun to go hang out with Picard, you know.
Picard is great for the fan service of it all. It's just a
Mhm.
shame that it took them 3 seasons to really get to where we wanted them to. Like,
Mhm.
again, I think it was ordered for a reason. Just give us what we want, and like Discovery walked so Strange New Worlds could run. Um,
Yeah.
and that
Although
also
I will
took a
say
long time, I think,
this.
to really get its story under its feet.
Yeah, I think that's true. Um, Picard never did give me what I want, because I want the Riker spinoff where he's just making pizzas in that pizza oven. That's all. That's the whole. I just want that. I want Riker to open up a pizza restaurant where he sits down at chairs weird and gives people like brick oven pizzas straight out of his backyard. That's what Star Trek should aspire to.
You
Um,
do know why he sits weird, right?
I think I do, but tell me, tell you know who doesn't know? Tell the people at home.
Just so we don't come off as complete jackasses. He injured himself, like his back somehow, and so
Mhm.
he has to get into a seat,
Sit like a weirdo.
a very interesting way, but he does it
Yeah,
confidently, and it's funny. It's a meme.
he seems like he means it. It's like the way that President Bartlett puts on his coat. Like Martin Sheen has a very specific way he has to put on a coat because he injured his shoulder once. Like a long, or maybe I
Oh,
can't remember if it was an injury or if it was like a like a birth thing. I can't remember. But he has to put his coat on real weird, and it's all because of an injury. So, yeah. So okay. So had you seen this movie before?
yes, we watched a lot of
Okay.
Star Trek in the pandemic.
Okay. I assumed that you had, because I knew that you guys had watched a bunch of Star Trek. So did were you like, oh, good, I get to watch this one again, or was it mostly like Walter was like, you gotta watch this one? Is the Borg Queen? That's how
Not
Walter talks to
necessary
everybody.
to watch it again because I I so often forget which movie is which. I'm like, is
Yeah,
this the one with the whales?
it's not the one with the whales. And we're gonna have to talk about the one with the whales later.
Okay.
Because spoilers, that's the best Star Trek movie. Um,
It's pretty great.
it's a fucking great movie. But so this one is the second movie with the Next Generation cast. So the Next Generation went off the air, I feel like in 90-ish or so. And the first movie came out in 94, and then it was 94, this in 96, the next one in 98, and the last one came out in 02, I think.
Oh
And then
wow.
they took a little break to not do movies anymore. But so I grew up with Star Trek existing almost exclusively in the middle room at Grandma and Pop's house on Sunday mornings, because it was, that middle room was where the TV was, and every Sunday morning at like 11:30, and we were always over there after church on Sunday mornings, and around 11:30, when it wasn't basketball season, because during basketball season that's when the Bob Knight show would come on, so that's I would watch that. But when it wasn't basketball season, the original series would be on. So it wasn't like I sat down and religiously watched it every Sunday, but I saw it a lot at their house on Sunday mornings. But it was never a thing I was like the biggest fan of.
Mm-hmm.
I was more of a Star Wars guy, which is kind of obvious when you're 7 years old in 1982. You're gonna want to watch the laser sword pew pew pew
Yeah.
space movie, and not the sit around and have a discussion space movie, which is a lot of there you go, face.
Sometimes
They do. But it's much more thought based, Star Trek,
it
and
is.
Star Wars is much more feelings based.
Well, and one is a utopia and one is dystopia.
Galactic Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I didn't pick up Next Generation while it was on, although my high school religion teacher loved Next Generation. She really dug this show.
All right.
It's like,
Go ahead.
yeah, thumbs up for this aspect of her personality. Just saying, this laudable, this part. So yeah, she talked about it quite a bit, and I knew it was a thing that was on at the time, but it wasn't anything that I ever got into until like at some point in the early aughts. I was like, I've got this hole in my pop culture knowledge base, and it's Star Trek as a whole. Like I'd seen, like I said, some of the original series. I'd seen the movies here and there, but I didn't go to the theater to see any of those movies. They just, if they happened to be on, I watched them. And I didn't watch much of Next Generation. So I went and boom, I just plowed through. And this was when you had to call Netflix on your landline and have them mail you a DVD. So I was just getting DVDs in the mail. Ran through original series, ran through Next Gen, and I think I did the first 3 seasons of Deep Space Nine before I just ran out of like my energy to watch more Star Trek.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched things since then, but it petered out. So I didn't really have much of a memory of this one, even though I saw it probably, I don't know, 20 years ago. But I like it. It's a good movie. It's fun.
Yeah. It's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah. So what happens in this movie is that for the first Star Trek Next Generation cast movie, they did a wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, now here's Kirk type of thing. And so they did the fan servicey thing where you and the show did that too. Like the show Next Generation brought back original series cast members. for a couple episode arcs and things like that. But they were moving on from the original series movies to the Next Generation movies, so they brought in Shatner to do that connective tissue piece and ride a horse, if I remember correctly. That's kind of all I remember about Generations. And then this one, it's just the Next Generation cast standing on their own 2 feet, battling an enemy that, if I'm not mistaken, was created during the Next Generation. Like, the Borg is not something that was in the original series, I don't believe.
No, they weren't.
But it was the coolest villain to come out of Next Generation, and it had the Locutus tie-in, where Patrick Stewart got to just go Borg on the whole thing.
That was the big spoiler that Walter, when we're watching through it, was really worried would get spoiled for me. So when it happened, I mean, I let out a legit gasp. I was not ready for it. So it was really cool.
It is a great story arc in the Next Gen. And so, like, if you're going to make a movie that's not going to have original series people in it, focusing on the Borg is a perfect choice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're a great villain. It's got that backstory that you don't have to have in order to enjoy it. It's better if you remember what it was like when Picard was Locutus. So, but I watched Siskel and Ebert do their review of it, and they were like, and I guess he used to be a Borg? Like,
no.
They just didn't know, but they liked it. I think they were 2 thumbs up for it. But they were like, the way they explained it was like, and a few years ago, I guess, he was assimilated for a minute or something. Like, so
it was a national trauma.
It was, but it worked. The movie worked well enough for the 2 of them, even not having lived the 7 seasons of Next Generation. So they bring the Borg back, and Borg is Borg. Borg. They do sound Swedish. The Borg are like, let's attack Earth now. We've been waiting, and the admiral on his iPad says, Picard, go tour the neutral zone, where Nikki's hanging out with Brandon, trying to do some home and away shit.
Go hold off the other people who tortured you so that they don't take over the neutral zone.
That's right, the neutral zone. And this is what Picard should have said to the Admiral. You need to understand what's real, Admiral. If we fight this battle anywhere but here, we might as well give the Federation over to the Borg. That's right. Jordan Shaw in the house. Fucking neutral zone. I love Home and Away. Everyone will go turn this off and go watch Home and Away and then come back. That episode's so great. Anyway, Picard's sitting this one out until like they're listening to like Vin Scully call the game or something on the radio, and it's clear that the Federation is just getting their ass kicked. And so Picard is like, we had orders, and we should probably. And Data's like, motherfucking order.
With the orders.
That's right. And they zipped on back, and Picard said, "Oh, shoot him here, it's right there." And everybody did, and the Borg cube exploded, except for like a little ball that shot out of it that went back in time. And they followed it through the time rift situation. And while they're on their way, it's clear that Earth has been, or I don't know, it's before I think it's present day Earth. I'm a little confused by that, where the Borg has taken over Earth. When exactly that is, but it's when they're in transit.
I think, like you're saying, as they're in transit, we're seeing what Earth looks like if they take over, or when they've taken over. But then again, they keep going further back in time, and it's It's a little timey-wimey.
It is. And so they go back to 2063 because the Borg had the same history books as the Federation children. And to be fair to the Borg, to be fair, because we don't want to Borg shame.
Yeah, we do.
They assimilated some Earthlings, and they probably just learned about this when they bring those brains in. But the big deal with 2063 and the guy who owns Babe is that this is when first contact happens, and
First contact is when
tell the people at home. Tell
Yes.
the people at home what first contact is.
First contact is when the Vulcans, they've noticed Earthlings. They're just like, I don't know if they're ready for us. I don't know if they're worthy of us yet. And then Zephyrin Cochrane shoots off into space, shows off his warp speed capabilities, and they're like, whoa, look at this guy. And so Vulcans step down on Earth, and hence first contact between humans and an alien race.
Yep. Which leads to peace on Earth, goodwill towards all, and
Federation, Starfleet.
Yeah. All of it. Everything we know.
Guys, no more money. Money will be gone. This is something to work towards.
It's good. It's interplanetary peace, which is
Rent as a musical won't make sense.
Does it now?
Okay, let's not get into that.
Okay, I was just asking. Everyone has AIDS.
No.
It's what it's about as far as I can tell. No one has rent. Everyone has AIDS.
People are trying to pay rent.
People are actively trying not to pay rent in that production.
But they are asking how.
That's right. They're not. So Babe's dad is living La Vie Boheme out there in a tent community. First people who have ever talked about rent while talking about first contact, I guarantee it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I feel good about it. But the reason that the reason that the warp drive thing matters is that Federation law is that, and this might be the Prime Directive. They didn't say they said the words Prime Directive. He basically was like, "Don't tell me about your Prime Directive, kid."
Yeah.
But it's basically like no other alien race is allowed to make contact with a planet that hasn't reached warp capability yet. So yes. if the civilization cannot get off of their own planet and achieve warp speed, then aliens will not talk to them. Because there's too big a danger that we're going to break your tiny little brains. So that's why it's really important that he does this. Because if he doesn't, those Vulcans will never know. They'll just slide on past. We'll never get 3 men and a baby. It's all going to go straight to hell.
It's true. That's why we need it.
That's why we need it. So they're like, oh, ships, we got to make sure that this happens. And so there's some beaming down, and then there's some beaming up. And then some of the Borg escaped the cube and are trying to assimilate the Enterprise, E. Mm-hmm. And so the people on the ship are fighting with the Borg, and the people on the ground don't even know that's going on. They're just trying to get Zaphod Beeblebrox to get in his jet and shoot it up into the air. But he's drunk most of the movie. And he's pretty freaked out that he's about to change the course of history.
They really said, fuck the Prime Directive. We are telling this man everything.
Yep.
And he had the logical human response of, oh shit, now there's pressure. I just want to be drunk again. Never mind. I had aspirations. I don't anymore. Just leave me in my drunken haze.
That's right. Where's my Roy Orbison cassette tape? Yeah, he didn't want any part of this shit. And so I guess that's a good place to start. Do you blame him?
No. I think a lot of the times when I'm at my lowest. I just want so badly for future me or someone to come back and tell me that I'm either making the right choices, something
Mm-hmm.
good. Just tell me something good. And yet at the same time, I don't think it's going to help
Mm-hmm.
in the short run. Uh yeah, so I don't blame him. It was making me stressed for him.
Yeah, it is. It's one thing to work towards a goal and um, be on the precipice of succeeding at that goal. It's another thing entirely to find out that if you succeed, you will change the course of history. And there's going to be a statue of you right about here.
Well, and that's kind of been my question with statues of Kirk and Janeway existing, because I'm like, I feel like we're playing with things a little bit here, and it's not going to end well when, because there's some nerd out there who's like, they know the date that they need to have this kid by, and they're going to name that kid, and then they're going to see this statue and be like, is it me? Like, I don't know.
Look, the Janeway statue is in Bloomington.
I know.
Because that's where Janeway is born in a few years. I don't remember exactly what the year was, but we saw it. We went there when we were there a couple months ago.
That's true.
And I was like, that like every girl born on that day in Bloomington is going to be named that.
Exactly.
Like that's just gonna happen. So I don't know whichever one it is, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that whole thing. But I don't know. I think it's super fun. Go ahead and put your statue of a fictional character who's going to be born here later. Do that. I think that's.
No, it is. It is. I get antsy for people in the future.
Yeah, that's true. And God willing, we'll be hanging around on First Contact Day. Like,
knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be pretty old, but I'll be kicking. What the hell? I'll be James Cromwell's age, probably, maybe a little bit older.
Probably be older than I want to still exist, but No,
you got to be there for First Contact.
I guess. Listen. I don't want to be living. They didn't have the worst wardrobe, but like, it's just scary because again, the stuff leading up, and they talk about this in the Star Trek group / Grump. Story behind that, can't go into it now, but
Understood.
All the stuff that leads up to First Contact is going to be rough.
Right. Sure.
It is essentially the downfall of society. There is a third world war. Like,
yep.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good leading up to First Contact. So we got to save up our whiskey now.
But in our, in our favor, we already survived Soylent Green. So, like, if we can make it through Soylent Green and not even notice that we were eating a bunch of dead people, spoilers, then I think we can make it through World War III and make it to First Contact. You know what's great is that there's someone right now in, I don't know, 2068 who watched me say that on a screen that was going, what? And they're trying to decipher the message from the past that I just delivered about First Contact Day. And they're not going to be able to do it.
Watching this for them would be like watching old VHS tapes of recorded TV, and when you first put it on and the commercials are all like broken.
Yep, all jumbled. And yep.
Oh, man.
And they're going to be like, okay, I think there was an important thing in there about First Contact, but do we need to go figure out what Rent is?
Yes.
And what's Babe? What are they talking about? Very confused. These poor sons of bitches in the future. Look, if people in 2068 don't know what Babe is, I don't want to be here. Because Babe is an edict. Because Babe is delightful. Have you seen Babe?
I have a scary thing to admit.
Uh-oh.
My dad and I walked out of that movie.
What? You're like, motherfucker, Babe?
We were bored. We were bored. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I bet I would watch it now and love it because I love animals. But I remember, and maybe I just agreed with Dad because that's what kids do with your parents sometimes. Um,
Oh.
Feeling he looked over and maybe I looked bored or something, but I remember him turning to me and going, "Are you bored? Do you want to go?" And we left. So I'm sorry.
Wow. Does that mean you don't get the joke in Home that Scully tells?
What? Oh God,
They're in-
I don't remember anything about home.
See, this is Home is great in part because it's really funny. There's a lot of good jokes in it, but they're in the yes, there are totally. Um, but they're in that pig pen, and they're trying to get the pigs to go out and cause a distraction so that the people in the house come out. And Scully is pushing against this pig, and she goes, "Nah, ram you, nah, ram you." And Mulder looks at her like she's insane, and she's like, I've been babysitting recently. We've watched Babe a lot."
Again, in the small recesses of my brain, whether or not I actually have a memory or it's put there by how pop culture and things work,
Yeah,
it's there. So like I
yeah,
do
yeah.
know that. I do know that'll do, pig.
That'll do, pig. I say that. I say that to people almost every day. Like if they've done something correctly, that'll do, pig. I say it all the fucking time. Um, so shouts to Cromwell. Um, all right. So here's something I wanted to ask you about because it seems like in this movie there's a few different things going on. But one of them is the difference between Borg. Uh, he's not an android, but whatever Data is.
I thought he was
And
an android.
human. I don't think it's an android. It's something else. I think it's a different. Maybe
Let me check with my assistant.
you should. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, what?
Is Data an android?
Yes.
We were correct.
Okay. All right. Good. Android. So the difference between android, human, and Borg, and it seems to me that the movie is positing that one of the prime ways that humanity is different than androids and Borg is the ability to disobey an order. Because it happens a number of times in this, where they're choosing, like they disobey the order to, hang out on the neutral zone with the Shaw kids, forming a circle. And they disobey the Prime Directive, like a lot. Like a lot. They disobey, like, and I think this is a Prime Directive violation, but bringing Alfre Woodard up to the Enterprise to begin with is a no-no.
Oh yeah.
Like, people are just left and right, just disobeying orders. And that is not something that you can do if you are Borg.
And I wrote this down. I'm so glad you brought it up because I thought it was interesting how similar both of their, I would say, mottos are. Picard says about humanity, we work to better ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Borg Queen says, we evolve to achieve perfection.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like their whole thing is perfection. And perfection means never going against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1984. Everyone is following Big Brother. Everyone is hive mind. And Picard, with their humanity, it's we are allowed to be flawed because sometimes those flaws lead to better decisions or better outcomes.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting too that there's two main couple pairings happening in this movie, right? There's Lily and Picard, and there's Shadowcaster's mom and Data. And both of the women are trying to get the men to be more human.
Interesting.
in different ways and for different reasons. But like the Borg Queen like sews skin onto Data to like blend it, and then she's like trying to get all up on his junk. Yeah. I mean she pulls the same shit that she pulled with Dylan. And it almost, I mean, if you're comparing it, and you can't, okay, I got to do this. You've seen Best in Show, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen the deleted scenes at the end of the movie?
I don't know.
They're really funny. But there's one deleted scene where Harlan Pepper is sitting there, and he's like, with his bloodhound, and he's like, the bloodhound has like the best nose. And you like, if you can't do this, but if you could chart out a bloodhound's nose and a rocket ship, like the bloodhound nose would be way up here. So all that to say, you can't do this, but if you could, 0.068 seconds is almost as long for an android as one episode hanging out at Anne's ranch.
Yeah.
So you can't do this, but if you could, it would be up here.
I think it's really cool. You also, our brains were just in synchronicity for this movie, because I also noted the similarities between the two main relationships, but I noted that they were both captor and captive relationships.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we're just going to slip into Adventures in Intimacy now, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. Because, yeah, captor and captive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's two different sides of the same coin. Picard and Lily go about it in a, thankfully, their relationship, while it starts out as kind of a captor-captive thing, even though, again, they're trying to help her and save her, she does not feel that way, and her feelings are so valid. She's terrified. Mm-hmm. She has no idea who these fuckers are.
Yep.
But eventually, their relationship is one that's built on respect. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that they didn't do... They had many opportunities to turn that into something cheesy and more, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They went just far enough, and I'm glad they didn't go any further, because I mean she looked like she had something with Zephyr, for one thing, but then also their relationship just didn't need to go there.
Right.
Whereas Data and the Borg Queen, that's very much a non-consensual relationship. She's trying to transform him, give him what he wants, and yet also, it's funny, she's trying to give him what he wants, which is to be more human, and yet also make him fall in line with her and her crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she thinks humanity is a weakness.
You know, I can't disagree with her there.
But Lily is like, it's your strength. Your humanity is your strength.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, the relationships are very mirrored, you know? But anyway, intimacy stuff.
And that's probably purposeful. It's...
yeah.
We'll come back to the relationships in a minute, because I want to note some little things that would definitely need the eye of an IC, but also be handled with a discussion, because they're light, but, you know, they are bodies touching bodies, and in various levels of emotion. So we have fainting. We have idolizing ships, because there are two men touching the machine at one point. And I'm like, all right.
Should I leave the three of you alone?
Right? You know, it's... What do we feel about this ship? Handling a drunk versus being drunk with a sober person. I think that is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Riker is being very gentle, trying to handle Deanna, who unfortunately is drunk from trying to get Zephyr to chill out. And she's being so violent and poking him and loud. I mean, one, you also get that they have a relationship, like they're able to be this playful with each other. But I just thought that it was really funny how someone who is inebriated and doesn't have their faculties is being so much more violent than the person who has
Right.
control, being very
Yep.
gentle and not manhandling, not
Mhm.
thankfully not putting her over his shoulders like a sack of potatoes. Way
Right.
to avoid that cliched move.
Good
Um,
job. It's hard to it. I'll say this: it's hard to act, direct, and carry a woman like a sack of potatoes at the same time.
and they probably only didn't do that because of his back, so
It's true. Yep, dodged a bullet there.
yeah.
Go make me a pizza.
But yeah, so Data and the Borg Queen have a very interesting relationship. Um, it's not consensual. Uh, do you think they bang?
I don't think there's time.
Interesting. This is one of the rare instances where I
Okay. Okay. I like it. I like it. I mean, we know she's down.
she can move around in and out of her outfit that easily. Why not?
Yeah, no
Although
kidding.
I don't know what much she can do with if she was to
This part?
yeah, if she was to remove her head and spine from the
Yeah.
outfit, from the most I shouldn't say the most interesting part, but that I did. So the coolest moment I think of intimacy between them is when she gives him skin and
Uh-huh. And blows on it.
blows on it.
Yes. And the hairs come up.
The hairs
Yeah.
come up. And I mean, that is supposed to be erotic,
Mhm.
It's you're trying to stir something up in someone. Again, like,
Mhm.
look at what I just gave you. You can
Mhm.
feel, and you didn't have to turn on the switch, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
very
And it
exciting
works.
stuff. It did.
Yeah. For
So,
almost as long as Dylan stayed at her house.
let's see what else. A lot of power play. A lot of.
Mhm.
I wrote down offering yourself in sacrifice as a power move, and I don't remember who did that.
Picard's trying to blow up the ship. And then Picard offers himself to her to free Data.
Yeah, which I could be wrong. For some reason, I'm remembering that kind of move happening more with female characters.
Hmm.
Like, no, take me instead. But
Sure.
that could be one of those areas where I need to be like, whoa, brain.
Yeah,
You
and,
might be
and to
wrong.
do a lot of there's I'm not sure that it's often it's either like a lover or a parent child thing, and it could be any kind. I think it could go either way for that stuff. But in this one, it's definitely Picard putting himself out there for his android buddy.
Speaking of Picard, they wanted to maximize Patrick Stewart's hotness
Mm-hmm.
to a degree I don't recall before,
Mm-hmm.
because not only is he in red, but it's also a V-neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, he removes that and
Yeah.
it's a sleeveless shirt, like
Mm-hmm.
showing off the
Couple times,
guns.
like when he's holding onto the thing,
Yeah.
the tubes, and she's got his legs and whatnot.
And I was like, okay, I get it. Like, listen, obviously, I love Patrick Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the Newman for me? No, I'm sorry. Like, on a
It's because
different
he's bald, isn't it?
huh?
It's because he's bald, isn't it?
No, it's not. Listen,
Oh,
if
okay.
Patrick Stewart wants to shove me against a wall, we can try it out.
It's not saying it's a deal breaker. That's
It's
all. I'm
totally not a deal breaker. Um, yeah, that's all I can say to that. But no, it's not because he's bald.
okay.
That's not a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
My last thing I want to note for intimacy in this is how other cultures greet each other.
Yeah.
Like, what a cool thing to get to play with, which I think he mentioned later on that apparently, like, it's Vulcans consider shaking hands like a sexual thing. So, again,
And then he goes and gets him drunk. So
yeah, who knows what happens? It's just interesting to think about, and I feel like sci-fi shows have to be ahead of the curve on discussing relationships and physical contact or movement and choreography,
Mhm.
because you do have, like, okay, Vulcans. What do they do? Well, they suppress their emotions. Oh, okay. Well, then they probably don't want to touch people. Uh,
Mm.
what would they do in greeting?
Yeah.
Maybe just a a type of wave.
How's it going there, buddy?
Oh, but see, even that's too emotive.
Right. Yeah, no kidding.
It's
Um,
that would be really fun.
yeah. While we were talking there, it occurred to me, um, with him trying to get him drunk and everything. Is it possible Cromwell thought that first contact was kissing and like second contact was like over the bra stuff?
Oh God,
And like I say he was trying to get to a home run as quick as he could there? Like I maybe. I'm
my
just
God.
saying. What's
I
third contact? I don't know. Just saying.
Watching that scene, I just felt really lucky, or I lucky for the characters. I was thankful for the characters that the Vulcans stayed and were as patient as they were, because
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I could have lasted in that kind of environment. Like, whew, you all are a lot.
Right. And
Uh,
also probably not showers. I
and
don't
it,
imagine it smelled great there.
and Vulcans talk later on about how humans smell to them,
Mm-hmm.
which I think humans, yeah, we know we smell.
Mm-hmm.
But even when we're clean, we have a distinct odor to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. All right. Is that it for intimacy?
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a step outside the tent and go take a leak in Needle Drop Forest. I don't detect any leaks. Um. So what I wanted to talk about is Zaphi Beeblebrox's choice of music to play when getting the first aliens drunk that you've ever met in the history of mankind. He chooses Ooby Dooby by Roy Orbison because he likes to dance, basically.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say Roy Orbison's a bad choice. I think Roy Orbison's a good choice in almost every circumstance. Roy Orbison's voice is heavenly, and I'll hear no blaspheming Roy Orbison. But it is a silly fucking song.
Yeah.
And so it got me thinking, if you were to meet, or if you were to be the first contact person, and you needed to put on a song filled with gibberish to play for the new people that you just met, knowing full well, because people from the future just came and told you that everything you do right now is going to be written down in the history books and studied for thousands of years, and you're changing the course of humankind. You got your booze, you got your record player, you're going to put your 45 on it. What gibberish song are you playing?
It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. That was my first choice.
Of course, you could play it backwards, which is Dosha Sally XBS the Fragicalirupus, but I think that's going a bit too far, don't you?
Indubitably.
That's a good choice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it. Especially because I didn't give you a whole lot of time to think about it. It occurred to me right before we sat down to press record. Here's mine. I called the witch doctor. He told me what to do. He said, say, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Yeah, I chose The Witch Doctor by David Seville. And I think those would all freak the fuck out of this alien. But those Vulcans were just rolling with Ooby Dooby.
And for a bonus song that leads back to a previous episode for you all, we go together like Ramalama dingity ding dong. Watch Grease.
That's right. I was the one who put the bop in the bop, shoobop, shoobop. I did it. Who was that man? I'd like to tell him live long and prosper. Because I'm Vulcan, I don't shake hands. This song doesn't work for me. Yeah, that's what happened there.
All right.
All right. What else time? What else you got?
Oh, I wrote this down and I wanted to, I don't know, what movies do you like that have come from TV shows?
Ooh. I liked the first X-Files movie,
Okay.
Fight the Future. I thought that was really good. Um, uh, well, the movie came, the movie Friday Night Lights came before the TV show, so that's the other direction. I mean, some of the Star Trek movies, not all of them, but some of them. I don't know. What do you got? What are you thinking of? What am I not remembering? The
So
Fugitive. Oh, The Fugitive. But go ahead.
that's from what?
Yeah, The Fugitive was a TV show in the 60s. Yeah. That might be the winner. By the way, that might be the answer, but go ahead.
I don't care.
Right. Exactly.
When I wrote that down, that was one of the first things I wrote in my notes because I don't feel like it's done as much anymore. Like I know with Community that they were really trying to make that happen, like 6 seasons in a movie.
Yep.
Still,
We're still trying.
we're
Don't
still
speak about it in past tense.
I said we still haven't gotten it. We could.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but then as you were talking, I realized, oh wait, there are some from my time. There's the Even Stevens movie. There's the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the good one I thought of? Because those are fine. They're fine. Let's not blow them up to more than they are. They're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What about Starsky and Hutch
oh, never seen that.
or Brady Bunch?
Nope.
You didn't see the Brady Bunch movies in the early 90s?
No.
Those were, I'm surprised, those were big. Or the, yeah. What
Yeah.
about the Dukes of Hazzard movie with Jessica Simpson in it?
No. As much as we loved watching Newlyweds, we did not go to see Dukes of Hazzards with Jessica
I
Simpson.
didn't either. No, I didn't see it either. Yeah, the X-Files one is, the first one is really good. The second one is less good. For me.
It's an interesting concept to me because I looked at them first as wait, they're making these movies while the show is still on? Like that's
Mhm.
crazy. Um but people went to see them. So I
It
mean,
was huge. I was so excited to see that X-Files movie when it came out. Oh my god.
hey, if
Yeah.
they ever want to make a Carmen San Diego movie, one, call me. And either way I'll be there.
Do you mean the doo up doop
Oh,
doo a
yes,
doo
the
up?
original.
Okay. Okay.
Where listen, I plan on stealing Colgate clock. Uh
Okay.
Willis Tower looks nice.
There you go.
You know what? I'm sure I could find something from this city that I'm currently in that they might miss, but it isn't as obvious. You
No.
know what? I'll take Staten Island. I don't really want it, but I think people would thank me, and Carmen San Diego would be a hero.
There you go. Carmen Sandiego's already a hero.
She is.
The Warrant. I loved that show. That show was fun. I was far too old for that show, but it caught me, and I loved the a cappella theme song. It was way too much fun for me. All right, is this anyone's defining role?
I mean, I think playing Jean-Luc Picard is definitely Patrick Stewart's. If it's not that, it's Professor X.
And I think it's Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is his defining role. He's great in everything, but I think this is first line in his obituary is that he played Jean-Luc Picard.
I think for people like Gates in Marina, it is their defining role because I haven't. Unfortunately, for a lot of Star Trek women, like this is the biggest thing they've done.
Yeah,
Not a bad thing.
I think
your biggest thing.
I think it's Jonathan Frakes' defining role. Michael Dorn's defining role. Brent Spiner, yeah. Not LeVar Burton's.
No,
not LeVar Burton's. For me, it's Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up with reading Rainbow, and I loved that show. I've seen Roots and everything, and obviously that was a defining role for him too. But if you were to tell me it was Geordie, I wouldn't like be super angry at you or anything. But for me, it's reading Rainbow. And I think it probably is the Borg Queen's defining role.
Oh yeah.
It's not Anne who owns Shadowcaster.
Who?
It's not Alfre Woodard's.
No, that is Mariah. No, she's done more than Luke Cage.
Yeah, that's good too, though. And it's not James Cromwell's. He's the guy who won Babe. I mean, come on, we'll be fooling. Okay, EST time. Is this the best Star Trek movie?
I can't say because most of the time I don't remember, but it's up there.
It is up there. I think Star Trek movies, for the original series run, the even number movies are good. The odd number movies are not very good.
Okay.
The first movie it's hard to watch. It's super fucking cheesy. But Wrath of Khan is great. And then Search for Spock is a little, I don't know what. But the fourth movie with the fucking whales is the best.
It is really good.
That the movie's so much better than it has any right to be, and it's funny.
We've been to that park.
Have you?
Yes.
Did you find the nuclear vessels?
No, but we did make sure to remember where we parked.
Good.
Yes.
Double dumbass to you.
Yeah.
And then I think that the sixth one people like a lot, and I can't remember which one that is. Because after the fourth one, I lost it a little bit. Generation, I think, is okay. This might be the best of the Next Generation movies.
Yeah, because Nemesis.
Yeah. So this is probably second or third, depending on if you like it better than Wrath of Khan. But Khan is so iconic.
Yeah.
That it would be, but this was like the production values on this are way better, and it looks like a movie.
I used to, in the early days of dating Walter, because for some reason I had seen J.J. Abrams' version of Wrath of Khan and Into Darkness, and it drove Walter nuts because he fucking hated that movie. So I loved.
Did he?
Into Darkness is so great.
Did he hate it because JJ lied about it being Khan up until like the moment you saw it in the movie, but everyone kind of knew it was Khan already? Is that why he hated it, or was there something else about it?
I mean, that I don't think he liked the casting of Khan. Nothing against Cumberbatch, but like it's not supposed to be. It never was supposed to be a white guy. Like even though it has always been a white guy, like it's he's not drawn that way. So there's a lot, and I think the main thing is the lies about Khan, and he just the retcon of it.
Yeah. Pun intended. Did you? Speaking of Khan, did you ever see the Saturday Night Live game show Quien es Más Macho?
No.
Okay, it was from the 70s, and Quien es Más Macho is who is more macho. That's what it means.
Oh.
And so the whole thing was in Spanish, but it's in like high school level Spanish. So like if you just know a little bit of Spanish, you can follow along. But it was always Quien es Más Macho? Eric Estrada o Ricardo Montalban? Estrada o Montalban? So I ask you, ¿Quién es más macho? Cumberbatch or Montalban?
I'm probably going to go with Montalban.
It's Montalban. It's always Montalban. He's always Montalban. He's the answer. It doesn't matter what the question is or who he's up against. Ricardo Montalban es más macho.
I love you, Sherlock, but you are. I love you for not being macho.
Yeah, he's not macho. Montalban, rich Corinthian leather. Is Montalban. Yeah, I didn't expect to talk about 90% of the things I said in the last hour, so that's kind of fun. Um,
My EST is pretty stupid. Because I
Good.
texted it to you, but it's all I can think of. This is the douchiest Picard moment ever. When he listen, I already don't like it when actors quote Shakespeare because I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh God, you're one of those.
Right.
Like, and not even just the typical stuff we all know. Like, everyone can quote something from Hamlet or Midsummer
Hmm.
or whatever. Like the obvious stuff, fine. But when people
Right.
go off into long soliloquies, I'm just
Uh-huh.
okay. No, when he started quoting Moby fucking Dick, I said,
Yeah.
"You went too far, Picard. No
You're
one,
gone too far.
no one who reads Moby Dick anymore." And I'm a voracious reader of classics and non-classics alike, but I
Hmm.
will not touch that fish with a 40 and a half foot pole.
Um, you should. It's a good book. Like,
Really?
it's a good book. Yeah, there's like a whole, but it's like it gets real in the weeds. There's like a whole chapter about like whale penis. It's the whole thing.
Yeah,
Um,
no, thank you. I'm good.
that was supposed to be a selling point. Shoot, that's all I said that wrong. Um,
This, this sounds like another possible scene when all the Kens are explaining to Barbie why they should read Moby Dick or something
it's very possible.
instead of The
But
Godfather.
Picard would definitely have read this book, though.
Okay, fine. He would have read
Yeah,
it. But to have a section of it memorized, I cannot abide.
yeah.
You're out
I
of
don't know.
line, Johnny.
I feel like this is very much in character, but I also understand why it's irritating.
It is, yeah, I can't. I can't with it. Douchiest Picard.
It's okay.
And I love Picard. He's not
Yeah.
the captain, but he is one of them.
Sorry, are you a Janeway? Is that your captain?
It's a tie between Janeway and Cisco. Like,
Okay.
they're both great. They're both flawed. I mean, they're all flawed, but of course, the unique ones only get called out for flaws more. So yeah, they're
Right.
my top two.
Okay. I like Picard quite a bit. He's probably my favorite. Just because Shatner is his own magic little creature. Here's the crazy thing about Shatner. Have you seen Shatner lately?
I try not to.
Dude is like 92. He looks like a 70-year-old.
Does he?
And yeah, he does. Like he looks like a 70-year-old at 92.
Hmm.
And I know what he looked like when he was 70.
See,
Like
he's one of the so in the few things I've watched him, like few episodes we watched him in, he's one of those. I said to Walter recently, I thought I feel like he was never meant to be super fit, and I feel like he always was meant to look older. Like,
mm,
obviously, he's trim in the younger ones, but it also looks like I don't know if you have this thing, but sometimes it looks like you can tell which people probably have to try harder to stay fit
sure.
than others.
Mhm.
And he's one of those. He does not look like the other naturally skinny guys of that time. Like,
Sure.
I feel like they probably had him on a diet or something. And again, he's not big. He's just,
Mhm.
he's not the lankiness of that time.
Yeah, he's a stockier guy.
Yeah, he is.
But none of them can hold on to the hood of a moving car like TJ Hooker. No, I don't care how strong you are. They can't do it as well as he can. Yeah. And I think we did it. I think once again we have proven my theory that everything comes back to Aaron Spelling. Even First Contact.
Star Trek First Contact.
Yeah, how about that? All right, we have not yet discussed our next week's film. Do you have any thoughts to accompany the return of
Right, the next thing has to be, or the next episode is Thanksgiving homeless character again, right?
Yeah, that's what happens in the episode. Yeah. So
I'm sorry if that was crass. That is what.
no, that's one of the things. Homeless people show up only at the holidays. I don't know why, but that's what happens. So I don't know yet for this week.
I mean, if you think people want to hear us discuss ideas, we can. or we
Oh,
can.
yeah, we can take it offline. We'll figure it out, people.
Yeah, we
Cheese Meisters. It'll be a wonderful surprise next Friday when you get your podcast feed and discover what it is we chose to watch.
Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
We're just I if we do that, I swear to God, I'll spend a half an hour talking about how they're just why does Franklin got to sit by himself?
No.
And Peppermint Patty, why do you suck? Why are you so rude?
Listen, ladies, listen to me. I know you're not going to want to hear this, but Peppermint Patty is how we know women can also be harassers. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, there's that part of it.
She is straight up harassing Chuck.
Yeah, no, she treats him like the Borg Queen treats Data.
She is she heard the cool girl monologue in Gone Girl and said, "Yes, I'm gonna," but made it worse because said, "I'm gonna be the cool girl so hard that no one's ever gonna say no to me." And I got y'all wrapped. Yeah, Peppermint Patty is a menace that must be stopped.
Yeah, and also invites herself over to Thanksgiving dinner and then just shits on the whole thing.
Right?
I mean, just the worst house guest ever.
Do you have any idea how much I wished that Mom and Dad would forget the turkey and we would have to have that Thanksgiving dinner?
Popcorn and toast.
Listen, I was a picky eater. Thanksgiving Day was one of the worst days of the year for me as a child. I love it now because I love all that food, but I just wanted the toast, pretzels, popcorn. I just wanted starches, people.
That's right. Carb load. Got to shop tomorrow. All right. So until then, Cheese Meisters.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Live long and prosper.